So a couple of years ago, we brought together a lot of experts, technical experts within the company, formed a team that started working with each of the facilities. And as you can imagine, a lot of different variety in terms of equipment, sources of emissions across the different facilities, across the different types of businesses that we're running. This team is working with local management to develop what we're calling our abatement curves for each of those facilities that lines up in the lowest cost reduction steps all the way through to the highest cost reduction steps. And then we're translating those abatement curves, which involve reducing emissions, emission leaks, new equipment, electrification, a number of different steps, lining those abatement curves, translating those into plans, into roadmaps that have a timeline associated with them, and then beginning to execute those by facility. And obviously, the further you work your way down that abatement curve, the higher the cost goes. And our view is as you go through 2050, if society is going to achieve this ambition of net zero, policy will come along, market incentives will come along, advances in technology will come along, and that'll help drive the cost of those outer years down. And that's the work that we're doing today.
What specifically in terms of policy has to happen in order for this to become a reality?
Well, the one position that we've taken for a long time and continue to believe it is the best way to incentivize all of society and all the constituents, businesses, academic, individual consumers, is a economy-wide price on carbon, transparent, stable, that incentivizes the reduction of CO2. That, I think, ultimately is going to be required if society is going to achieve this ambition of net zero at some point into the future. Recognizing that in many places around the world, that is a difficult political equation today. So we're working on other policies that help support that reduced emissions. We're looking at low carbon fuel systems, transportation fuel systems, and how you can effectively incentivize industry to reduce carbon across the value chain for transportation fuels. We're looking at that for power generation, working with policymakers around the world to find policies that can help drive some of those things. 45Q here in the U.S. Is a policy today that's helping drive emissions reductions. If that tax incentive increases, you'll see more reduction coming on because it helps incentivize higher cost, larger scale emission reduction steps.
Hey, Darren, it's Andrew here. Question:
Hi, Andrew.
Given that a bunch of your competitors, as you know, got to the same place to make these types of pledges earlier, do you wish that you had done this earlier?
This is, like as I said earlier, Andrew, this is more than just a pledge. We've been doing work for several years now to make sure that we were confident that we had a line of sight to how to achieve this. And that's the work that we've been doing and the technology advances that we've been working on. So from our perspective, when we come out and commit and say we're going to do something, our intention is to deliver on it and do it. And the time horizon, as Becky mentioned, in terms of being long, I accept that. But what we do in this business, many of the decisions that we make extend for very, very long time horizons. We've taken the same disciplined approach that we've do in the base business and think about these long time horizons and what's required to achieve those business objectives. We've taken that exact same approach and applied it here. And we've come out to talk about it when we've had this clearer line of sight. And I would tell you, too, the new board that we have is encouraging us to be more transparent and make sure people understand the work that we're actually doing. Historically, we've tried to hold back a little bit and wait until we're actually doing it. I think in this case, helping folks understand what we're trying to do and the work that we're doing today to achieve it is an important emphasis that the board has given us to help people better understand the work that we're doing.
Darren, do you think your peers, though, who may have come out obviously earlier on these issues, didn't have a line of sight, didn't actually have a plan, that it was just words? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know. I can't speak for where their peers are at. I can speak for what we're doing and what was required to make sure that we had a clear line of sight. And all I would say, Andrew, as we go forward in time, the results will demonstrate who's got good plans, who's executing, who's making the advances. We feel really good about the progress that we've made and very confident about the progress that we will make. That's how we're going to judge ourselves. That's how the board's judging the management team. And so I feel really good about what we're doing and the substance behind that. You'll have to talk to the other folks to understand their plans and what lies behind them.
So